Hey everybody, it's Alex at Motoroso.com, and in this video we're taking a close-up look at the AFE Power Momentum GT cold air intakes for the third generation Toyota Tundra with the iForce and iForceMax V6 twin turbo engines, including of course the hybrid version, that iForceMax. Now, there are three different versions of these intakes. What I have in front of me is the orange edition. They are also making a red edition and a black version. There's a slight difference between these, but in general, they're all going to help flow more air, filter that air better, and help you get a little bit more responsiveness out of your engine, as well as a bit more power and torque. And in the case of these red or orange versions, make it look a little bit cooler under that engine bay as well, a little bit more pop. And we've chosen this orange because of the combination of the filter, and we think the color is going to look really, really good with that sort of gray-blue lunar rock edition that our buddy Aaron has on his Tundra. And in this video, we're also going to be doing a simple installation guide to show you step-by-step how to install this in your Tundra. It is extremely easy. You will be able to get this done with basic tools in your driveway, no problem. You won't need a hand even. It's very, very simple. We'll show you how to do that. Now, if you find this video helpful, please consider shopping with us. We're gonna put links to all three versions of this intake system in the description of the video, and I'll put the link to the orange one right here. That link will take you over to Motoroso.com where you can shop with us. And again, we put effort into making these videos. We hope you find them helpful. And if you do, please consider becoming a customer of ours, because shopping with us is what supports what we do here. We'd love to have you as a customer. Now down to the actual features of this thing. So historically, the intake boxes have been made from a rotiform plastic. Now, because of the additional heat we're now seeing from these forced induction engines and that hybrid version, there's a lot of heat that builds up under there. And so AFE is kind of stepping the intake game up. They're definitely one of the OGs in producing high quality cold air intake systems, and they've done it again. You're now seeing these systems be made out of XLPE, a polymer. So I don't know exactly what that means, but it is a stronger and more heat resistant material. I'm not a chemist, but I trust these guys are making a system that's going to stand up to that heat a little bit better when you've got that heat building up in that engine bay, which is going to be very, very important, because we have seen with some other manufacturers on the Broncos, we've even seen some of those intakes melting and starting to form in with that extra heat that's in there. You're not going to have that happen with these Momentum GT intakes. Now, the orange edition that's sitting in front of me and the black version of this system is going to come with their Pro 5R filter. Now, the Pro 5R filter is going to be a 5-layer filter that is pre-oiled, okay? So that means it's an oil-style air filter, and what that means is it's going to be able to flow a little bit more air while also still capturing and grabbing that particulate out because of that sticky oil that is in there. Now, so that means it performs better, it flows better, helps you make more power, filters better. It just means it is more maintenance. So depending on how dirty the environment is that you're in, you might need to maintain this filter a little bit more frequently than you would a dry style filter. And that just means you got to buy yourself some air filter oil cleaner as well as more air filter oil. You got to spray it, clean it, wash it out, then let it dry, and then you got to apply the oil. It takes a little bit longer, not as convenient. You don't have to do it all that often. I tend to do mine once every other oil change, just depending on what I'm doing. But if I'm spending a lot of time in the desert and it's very, very dusty, then I might do it every roughly 5,000 miles. It's got this nice window on the top. It can help you look in and see, does the filter look dirty, and do you need to go through that process of cleaning it? Now, if you take a look at the red version of this system, they are using their ProDryS filter. Now, that ProDryS filter, a little bit less flowing, so it's a 7-layer filter, doesn't flow as much. It's about 11% gain over stock, whereas the Pro 5R filter in this and the black version is a 17% gain in airflow. That dry filter, much easier to maintain. So if you really don't want to bother with maintenance or any of that, or you live in an environment where you don't have a lot of particulate and you just want it to be super easy and not have to mess with it, that dry filter might be an option for you. Now, if you don't like the red color and you want the orange color, but you want the dry filter, you can buy it separately. So you can mix and match these things however you want, but they've pre-packaged the orange and the black with this filter, and that's what we've chosen again because it flows that additional air and it is a better filtration system. Now, the way that the intake system works on the Tundra, it does pull cold air from the outside through the wheel wells. And that's a really nice feature that they've got built in there to make sure you're not pulling that hot air from inside the engine bay. But what you get here is a better flowing filter and a box and tubes that have been optimized for their flow. So you're getting that, again, 17% increase in airflow, and that is definitely going to help your engine produce more power. And they claim that on this system, that's going to be 17 horsepower and 19 pound-feet of torque. Now those are kind of big numbers. I'm going to be honest. I love AFE. I think they make some of the best intake products in the industry, but I do think they probably exaggerate those numbers a little bit. But even if we say, let's cut that in half, that's still a big gain for what you're investing here while you're also protecting your engine from particulate and filtering it better. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now, additionally, they have designed something that's a little bit different here to give you an option, okay? So on this housing, they have actually built in this additional hole here. Now this, if you want this to just pull air in from the wheel wells the way it does currently, you have these little plugs here. Those plugs are intended to go in there and block that, and you're going to keep the way that that air is flowing, going the way that it just is from the factory. It's only going to pull that cold, guaranteed cold air from outside the vehicle, and that should be good for still give you a gain in flow and performance. But if you leave that hole open, that will actually change the tone, the sound that the intake, because the intake does have something to do with how the engine sounds, and it will make a little bit more noise and give you that sort of air intake bark. Now, it does also mean that you might pull in a little bit more warm air from inside the engine bay, but it is more air, and the more air you get in, the more power potentially you can make, but it is a trade-off because it's also hotter air. So really, this is your decision, your choice in whether or not you run it with that plug or without, and whether you want the intake bark or not, but it is very cool that they've kind of designed this to be able to be configured kind of one of two ways. Now, this is going to be a nice mate. I'm just going to diverge here for a moment to the AWE exhaust system that we're putting on this Tundra. That's going to help flow more air in and exhaust gases out. Overall, the whole thing is going to sound better. So we're excited about that. But where the real power gains are going to come from on our Tundra build that we're doing here is we're adding the VR-tuned Piggyback tuner. Now, that is a very inexpensive mod. Well, relatively inexpensive mod, depends on your budget, and an easy install, but the gains you get are tremendous. And this intake and that exhaust system are really going to help get more out of that VR tuner. But that VR tuner, they have dyno proven that in stock trim that will generate 60 additional horsepower and 70 pound-feet torque at the wheels. That is massive gains from a very simple tool. So make sure you check that video out, as well as the AWE exhaust system video if you're looking to make more power and complement this intake system. We'll put links to both of those videos down in the description. I will put the link to this orange system right here. Again, that link will take you over to Motoroso.com, and if you find this video helpful, please do shop with us. We'd love to have you as a customer. All right, so going back on to, before we show you how to install this, the rest of this system, these tubes have been optimized for airflow, again, made out of the same material. And of course, it's gonna come with all the silicone couplers and the hose clamps that you need to do this installation, and it is very, very straightforward. Let's just go ahead and jump in now to showing you how to take out your stock intake system and install this Momentum GT cold air intake. Starting on the passenger side, remove the two Phillips screws holding the mass airflow sensor in place and gently slide the sensor out and set it aside. Then use a Phillips head to loosen the hose clamps. Now, we removed the intake box lid and filter and then the airbox, but you don't need to do this. You can just literally pull up on the whole assembly and it'll come out, just as you'll see when we do this on the driver's side. Now, this is held in place by rubber grommets, so some will stay down on the intake box and some will come out with it. You'll want to just collect all these so that they can be reused and installed on your new intake. Before installing the new intake, we'll need to prepare a few things. First, place those rubber grommets in the holes on the base of the airbox. Then clean this flat surface with rubbing alcohol and remove the adhesive backing from the supplied foam gaskets and press those into place. You can also place the optional baffled cover now, or you can do that later when it's installed. This will affect the sound output of the intake. Next, you can simply place the intake box down onto the posts and press firmly to seat them in. We recommend assembling the intake box to the air filter with the supplied hose clamp. Then use the hose clamp to affix the rubber elbow to this intake port on the truck. This makes it much easier to then push the filter and tube assembly into the intake box and then press the tube onto the rubber elbow. With everything aligned, you can then tighten all your hose clamps. Lastly, replace the MAF sensor into the intake rubber tube and secure using the supplied T20 Torx bolts. Follow the identical process on the driver's side. It's a pretty straightforward install. All right, we'll put links to all three versions of the Momentum GT intake in the description of the video, and the link to the orange edition will be right here. That link will take you over to Motoroso.com, where you can shop with us. You can also reach us there on live chat or call us toll-free at 833-MOTOROSO. Shopping with us is what supports what we do here, and we'd love to earn your business and have you as a customer. Now, if you'd like to really learn about making some serious power out of your Tundra, check out that VR-tuned Piggyback tuner. We're gonna make a video right here. The thing produces 60 additional horsepower and 75 pound-feet of torque. That is a big bump. This is relatively insignificant investment. It's the best way to get more power out of this. And we also recommend checking out our AWE exhaust system. Hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching.